rowdy students breathe down your neck.
And the Boilers have done it! They advance to the Sweet 16 for the 5th time in 6 years.
Welcome back to the Dig City Podcast, brought to you by Franciscan Health, the official medical provider of Purdue Athletics. I'm Corey Palm. He's head coach Dave Shondell, and we're here to put a bit of a bow on the spring season, Coach. We'll get to some additions on the staff, some additions on the roster. Got a lot to talk about here today, but let's start with your Boilermakers make a clean sweep in the spring, 5-0 in the competitions, the pseudo competitions. What did you learn about your team these last few weeks?
Well, just so our fans understand, the spring season really isn't about wins and losses. It's about identifying things at the start of that spring campaign that you know that your team needs to work on, and we had a bunch of them. Yeah. The positive is that we hit those things, and we did a really nice job of improving and developing in those areas that we needed to improve on. But yet, as I watched last night's match at Ball State, I added a few more things to that list. So it's a evolving situation, as you can imagine, when you're coaching at the college level. But overall, we put a brand new team together. We had 8 returning players. We had 7 that came in, 2 incoming freshmen that arrived early, and then 5 transfers. A couple of the transfers could not play because of injuries. One of our returners could not play because of an injury. 2 of our matches, we had 2 other people out. So, we piecemealed together a squad, and we went out and we opened up the campaign with Butler, and Butler went 4-1 during their spring. Okay. But we beat them in 4 straight sets at home. They should have won the second set, but they kind of tossed that one back to us. And then we played Miami of Ohio, who did not do well in the MAC last year, but I think they will do pretty well in the MAC this year based on what I saw. It was their coach's first season. Okay. And then we played Loyola of Chicago, who came in here and stung BYU in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So we knew that they were going to be scrappy, and beat both those teams, I think 3-0 over Miami, 3-1 over Loyola. And then we went on the road to Fishers, at the Fishers Event Center where the Indy Ignite play, which was a great experience. What an opportunity to go down there and play the prelim to Grand Rapids playing the Indy Ignite. They had a fun fest in between for 2 hours where there were probably 5,000 people that were there just to celebrate volleyball and meet players and just have a great time. And the weather was terrific. And we beat Vanderbilt, who had really played pretty well so far this spring. I think they lost in 5 to Tennessee, and they lost in 4 to Louisville. And so they played both those teams relatively tough. Could have won either one of the first 2 games. Vanderbilt could have, but we found a way to win, and then won the last 2 pretty easily in a 4-setter. And then we wrapped things up back in Muncie by beating Ball State in a really close match. I thought Ball State was really good. Kelly Miller was playing the role of Lou Holtz all week, talking about how bad they were going to be and how many injured players they had. And then we got over there, and some of those people got healthy real fast. They did have a couple people missing, just like we did. But really impressed with Kelly's team, and I thought we played hard and did some good things and found a way to win that one 3-1. But it was a close match.
That's good. Good to see. Of course, we're not surprised by Kelly doing great things over in Muncie. Yeah. Just one of our favorites, obviously. Great Boilermaker. No matter where she's at, she'll always be a Boilermaker. What was it like for you to be back at Ball State, back in your hometown, where it sort of all began?
Well, it's always nice to go back to Ball State. I grew up in Muncie, and my dad was on the Ball State staff since really about the day I was born. And so I grew up with old school Ball State back when they were not even a Division I program, playing in the Indiana Intercollegiate Conference with people like Evansville and Valparaiso and Butler. That was kind of the headliners back then. And then they went to the MAC, and grew up around watching Ball State explode at Ball State University. But the best thing I think about my experience growing up in Muncie was being surrounded by so many coaches. My dad being on the staff at Ball State University, and then me being involved in all kinds of sports growing up with really good coaches in the Muncie school system. You couldn't help but have a pretty good start on a coaching career, and just all good people, great people. All those same people that were at Ball State were going to the same church that I went to, and we would go on vacations together. I just was surrounded by, great people. And, and they go back and to have a lot of people. They had a great crowd last night, even though I think Ball State tried to keep it a secret. From what I understand from our people. We got chastised for announcing that we were going to be playing at Ball State yesterday because the event staff there didn't feel like they would be able to function with a large crowd. And it was funny because I told Kelly Miller, the head coach there, of course, if she remembered back when we were at Muncie Central and we were getting 5,000 people into the field house for matches, and there was no event staff, and we never had any brouhahas
Somehow
or
it was all okay.
any problems. So I don't know what the deal was over there, but they ended up having still a really good crowd and a lot of familiar faces that I got a chance to talk to and hear from. So it was a great trip, and again, our team played well, and we'll talk a little bit more about that development later on.
Yeah, for sure. Whether you advertise it or not, you've built, you collectively as a group have built volleyball in Indiana to the point where it doesn't matter if you advertise it or not. People are going to show up.
Well, a lot of Purdue sweatshirts. And what was really great about going down to Fisher's, if people don't think that the northeast side of Indianapolis or central Indiana have turned Purdue, they're wrong.
Absolutely.
Because it was that was the best part of that event, going down, and not just in our match where they had probably a couple thousand for the prelim. We kind of played the JV match against Vanderbilt, but that night when we hung around and watched the pro match, and it was so many Purdue people that were there, and so many great conversations I had with them, and how spirited they are about this new Purdue team. So really nice to be there, and just the Purdue faithful are certainly, we're not losing any fans.
No, that's for sure. It's a great time to be a Boilermaker, no doubt, in Indianapolis and everywhere. Let's talk about the development of this team a little bit. I know you said, you set out at the beginning to earmark some things.
Yeah.
What were those things, and how'd they do?
Well, first thing was first ball contact. That's receiving serve, maybe defensively digging balls. You lose almost every bit of that from a year ago. The only person you really had back that contributed to that, and it was actually our best passer, according to the numbers, was Ryan McAleer. And Ryan McAleer had surgery during the offseason and wasn't playing this spring.
Right.
So we had zero back as far as people that really contributed on any kind of a regular basis to passing serve or playing a lot of defense. So we knew that was going to be where we had to start. And if we couldn't pass serve, it was going to be a long spring, and that would probably evolve into a tough season in the fall.
Don't get very far.
But the bright spots were our three defensive players that were healthy, starting with Julia Kane. Julia Kane just blew up this spring. Just had a great season. I thought she matured as a player and as a person. Just really controlled the ball extremely well and passed at about a 2.35 for the spring, which is excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, on a 3-point scale. And then you had Rachel Williams, who was the leader in the clubhouse, meaning she was in our gym more than anybody else during the off season. Anytime I walked by the gym, you could see a shadow of Rachel Williams in there with a grad assistant or with some other players or just on her own serving the ball. And I thought she had a great spring. She did not play last night because she had a class conflict.
Okay.
But I thought she was really good and made huge steps. And then the other player that really exploded just in the last probably 3 or 4 weeks was Sienna Foster. And Sienna's got an incredible serve and a really good athlete, but she redshirted during the fall, so really had not played until this spring. But when the doors opened, she really started to play very well. And then when you also in the first ball contact, Kenna Woolard is going to be one of the best passers we've ever had.
Okay.
Now, she hasn't had to pass
Yeah,
because
she
she's
hasn't
playing
played
in the
all
opposite position. She gave way to some other people on the left, and that doesn't put her in the passing pattern. But now she's going to be in the passing pattern quite a bit. And she's just got great feet. She's got a great feel. She's an unbelievable athlete. And she really evolved into an excellent passer for us this year. And then we also had Natalie Morvek, who came in from she was at BYU, and then she was at Iowa, and then took the last fall off, and now she's with us. And in a short amount of time, she made a lot of progress getting back into the swing of things, and she passed last night at about a 2.4.
Okay.
And then the other one, Addie Tyndall, who came in from Homestead High School early, also passed really well last couple of nights out. So that was our number one goal, was to develop that aspect of the game, and I thought we did a good job. First ball contact can also be serving. And serving and blocking are the strengths of this team right now.
Okay, good.
So serving is night and day. We talked to our team about this, that last fall we were playing with our hands, with one of our arms tied behind our back because we couldn't serve the ball tough. We just were serving popcorn across the net all the time. And so we've worked hard at that, and then just through different people that are now serving, we're serving the ball really tough. We've made it really difficult for people so far this season. Another key component, Corey, that we tried to address, and I thought we did a good job, was we had to find playmakers. We lost some really good athletes that made plays. And when you walked into our gym, you could count on certain people for keeping the ball off the floor, or putting balls away, or whatever it might be, being spectacular. And we needed to fill that void. And so we were looking at people that could, number one, defensively cover ground, make plays, could also offensively terminate the ball, because we lost a lot of our offense. Lost, both left side hitters, lost both middles. Our right side player went to the left. So basically we had one offensive player returning on our roster. And so we had to find out who's going to put balls away. Well, we hit as a team about 285, 290 for the spring. Kenna Woolard hit about 345. Grace Heaney came out of nowhere. She was on the injured reserve list, all during the fall, so people kind of forgot about her until they saw her play this year. And the smooth, swinging left-hander was really, really good. And another player that I think that opened up some eyes for us was Lindsey Miller, the transfer from USC, who was really active and also hit over 300 for us. So we had 3 players hitting over 300. The other 2 left sides were good. We got to get some more punch out of the middle, but one of our middles did not play during the spring. That was Dior Charles, who came in and had to have some work done on one of her legs and could not play. So I'm encouraged by the fact that we're going to have a full roster. We're going to have lots of options. We have to continue to hit the ball harder. That's going to be one of the things that in the last 6 practices that we have this season is getting more pace on the ball. I'm putting a lot of pressure on Kelly, our strength coach, that she is going to have to make sure that she does a better job than any coach in the history of volleyball on developing some more strength during the off season.
That's a good challenge to throw down the gauntlet.
She's ready for it.
I'm certain that she is. You sent me a note this morning when we were talking about sort of pre-producing the show about expectations, setting expectations. And I can imagine when you get half your roster turns over, and like you said, one offensive player really that we saw last fall returning, and one back row player that we saw consistently last fall. How do you go about setting expectations for a group that's so new?
Well, I think it has to be step by step, to be honest with you. Our expectations are always going to be very high.
Sure.
The expectations are going to be we're going to be every bit as good as we can possibly be. And, everybody looks at what happened to our team this year with some, folks leaving, just like they're going to leave in every sport at Purdue. It's going to happen to every sport, every year, till the end of time, okay? But they focus on Purdue. They don't look around the rest of the league or the rest of the country and say, you know what? I guess that's happened in a lot of places.
There's people leaving Nebraska and Wisconsin.
Now, we certainly got hit hard.
Sure.
No question about that. And it was brought to the forefront in every media, volleyball media that you can imagine. But we responded. Okay, we had 5 players jump on board in a hurry. We got a great freshman class, maybe as talented of a freshman class as we've ever had that's coming on board. Now, we can't expect them to be, game changers right out of the gate, but the future looks really, really good. We'll have 2 seniors on our roster, Akasha Anderson, who came in from Michigan State, and Lindsey Miller, who came in from USC, and then everyone else is, underclass people. And so we know that we got work to do, but our expectations will be very, very high. The point being, when I look at the rest of the league, Nebraska right now is standing really tall, even though they had a coaching change. Right. John Cook has retired, and salute to John Cook. Next to Russ Rose, I can't think of anybody in America that did a better job of building programs and producing great teams year after year after year. And now Danny Busboom Kelly comes in from Louisville, former Nebraska player, and takes the helm. Well, that's a change, okay? John Cook's not there anymore, all right? And so how will that transition work out? But aside from that, they're pretty much intact. Yeah. But everybody else, for the most part, of the headhunters that are at the top of the list, had some transition going on within their program, had a lot of graduation, or they had portal activity. And so, we're just one of the rest that has to just figure out. And what I decided, when we went to this portal and when transition happened at Purdue was, if we can handle this better than everybody else, if we can develop cohesion and we can out-train and we can develop better than everybody else, we're going to be just fine. And that's kind of what the system is right now, is bringing this team together and having a lot of fun, but at the same time outworking everybody else in the country and being efficient in how we go about doing things and bringing this group together and playing with tremendous purpose. And I think there is tremendous purpose every time that we walk into the gym.
I think you may have answered my next question right there at the end. Is with a newer roster, how do you go about getting buy-in on the culture that already exists? The very strong culture, like you said, going from the moment you step in the gym, focusing on having fun, but high level of success threshold. Yeah. How do you get that culture to sort of seep into everyone's pores?
Well, it takes a lot of work and a lot of time. And one of the things that we did this year, probably more than we have in 15 years, is we did a lot of team building activities. Number one, we're doing the DISC personality test thing, and spending more time on that than what we have before. It's something that Coach Painter has used and some other programs in our athletic department have used, and so we felt like this would be a good time to really dig into that and get to know each other better and understand why certain people behave the way that they do. That might be a good way of pulling the team together and helping us understand one another. But culture is different every year. It's not going to ever be the same. And so, we're going to continue to do things. I mean, the whole team's going to be out at my house for Easter. Okay, I think that's important. It's we don't have a lot of homegrowners anymore. There's not a lot of Indiana kids on our roster right now. All right, they're coming from all over the place, right. And that was one of the things I think that really rejuvenated me and our staff, was that when we had some people go on the portal, it took 2 days to fill our roster. I made 5 phone calls and 5 people said yes. Okay, we identified the 5 people that we saw on the entire portal that could come in and help us, and they all said yes. And not one of them was asking about money.
Right.
Not one. 0. They wanted to come play at Purdue because of the history and the tradition that we have here at Purdue, and the fact that they knew if they came here, they could see where they might go based on what a lot of our other players are doing at the pro level and so forth.
That's great. Coach, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about a few additions to the Boilermaker family.
Sounds great.
Stick with us. The Dig City Podcast is brought to you by Franciscan Health, the official medical provider of Purdue Athletics. At Franciscan, we are inspiring health. Now back to the show. All right, Coach. New addition to the staff. We knew last time we talked, Michael Burrell had moved down to SEC country, and now that spot has been filled. Emily Hill joins the Boilermakers from Texas Tech. Fill us in a little bit about Coach Hill.
Yeah, Emily played at Texas Tech. I think she started out at Mississippi State for a year, but she's from the Dallas, Fort Worth area, and was a great player at Texas Tech. I think maybe 3rd all-time in kills at Texas Tech. But everybody that I talked to about her during this process told me I should hire her. What a great person she was, and that she may not come in right away in the interview and blow you away, but be patient, because as time goes on, you're going to be more and more impressed with her, and you're going to like her and so forth. So we interviewed some great candidates for this job. Even went on the men's side and looked at some coaches from some top programs. But at the end of the day, I felt like with what we have gone through here at Purdue, we needed somebody that's going to come in and be able to be a relationship builder with our players, that was going to be able to be someone our players could go to and communicate with, but also be able to train and coach and do all the things. She's also very good with preparing for opponents and all the technology that we need to use nowadays. So she just hit every spot, every box for us, and so she's been great in the gym. Again, she's not real outgoing, but our players feel really comfortable talking to her, and she's good. She's working with our setters. She's working with our outside hitters. She's working with our passers. She has a real good feel for how to train players. And to me, at the end of the day, we're going to find the person that could train our players the best. Because our philosophy at Purdue, we're not always going to get the biggest name player in the country to come to Purdue. We might lose them to Texas. We might lose them to Stanford. Okay, we might lose them to, some of the bigger known programs. We need the same athlete. Find us the same athlete that we can get in our gym and spend the time with and develop them like the Danielle Catino, okay? People like that, and Blake Moeller, Catherine Rabarchek. I mean, the list goes on and on, okay? But just get that player in our gym and give us the opportunity. And Emily Hill is now going to be somebody that's going to go in there and do a great job of taking them to the highest level.
Well, welcome, Coach Hill. Can't wait to see you on the sideline this fall. You made another addition earlier this week. Another Rachel Williams, as it turns out. It's going to be very confusing for some.
It could, except one's 6'3.5" and one's about 5'5".
5'3.5". Yeah,
that would be the way to tell the difference the quickest. But no, Rachel is she's out from the New York City area, but she's actually lives in New Jersey. Okay, and plays for a club out of New York, whose coach is a good friend of mine, and. She was originally scheduled to go somewhere else, and at the last second, that fell through. And this coach reached out to me and said, hey, this girl can play at the high level of the Big Ten. You need to take a look at her and see what you think. If you've got room, you might want to grab a hold of her. So we watched a lot of tape, sent Kat out to Syracuse, New York on one Sunday and sent John Klanek out the next Sunday, and they both came back with very, very positive reviews. And we had a spot available for somebody 6'3.5" that can touch 10.5, that has a great arm and is an incredible human being. So we picked up Rachel Williams, and I feel really good about it. And she can play on the right or play on the left, either spot, and has good feel for the ball, even with her passing and digging. So, it'll be a process. I don't expect her to come in and shatter any records in the first year, but I think that in time she'll be a really good player for us at Purdue.
That's excellent to hear. It goes back to what you were just talking about with player development. It's great to have good instincts. You can develop those into great skills. Can't develop 6'3.5". That is
and just a terrific person.
Yeah.
So and that's all we're going to try to get. You have to have good people in your program if you want to have success.
For sure, plenty of those. You mentioned earlier that Ryan McAleer missed the spring because of cleaning up some medical issues.
Yeah.
Recovery going well there?
She looks great.
Good.
The doctors are being very careful with her, making sure she doesn't try to do too much. I think she could play right now, to be honest with you. She's done some passing in practice and doing the rehab really, really well. She's in great physical condition. As I mentioned last year, when you look at our passing numbers, she was our best passer. She's quick as a cat. She brings this leadership style, this enthusiasm. And right now, she didn't play libero this spring because she couldn't play. Julia Kane did that and did a great job. So, there's going to be competition, sure, for that spot. There's competition for every single spot on our team. But, she's built to play libero. She has that mentality. It's nice to have two people playing at that kind of a level. And then, as I mentioned, to have Rachel Williams and Sienna Foster also making a lot of noise there, and having some other people. It's just our goal was to develop that first ball contact, and I couldn't feel better about where we are right now, knowing we have a lot of work to do still.
Sure.
But we made great progress, and to have the success we had, I think we went 17-2 or 15-2. I'm trying to think in the games, the sets played this spring, we lost just 2.
Yeah.
Most of them were 4-set matches. I think we played 19 sets. I think we went 17-2. And to do that without the services of McAleer on the floor and losing all those players, I think it's a great credit to our team. How hard they worked, how focused they were, how they competed. All those matches weren't won by 5 or 6 points. Some of those were 2-pointers.
Right.
And when it got down to crunch time, I thought that our players really, really stepped up and did a great job. So I'm really pleased with that first ball contact.
That's great. It was 17-2, and like you said, there were no slouches. The Loyola Chicago second-round team, Ball State's always tough and going to be again this year. So that's great to hear. Let's see. I'm going through the list. We've covered everything on the team. One thing we haven't covered, you had some good crowds, like you said, in Muncie, but also in Holloway. The support just continues to really be there for this team, whether it's spring, whether it's fall, whether you're playing in Mackey, whether you're playing in Holloway. Popular
question I'm getting is Mackey Arena. Are we going to play matches in Mackey? Because everywhere you go, like you go down to Indy, you see a lot of these people that can't get tickets. And so, I'm sure that we'll have some matches in Mackey. I don't know how many. We haven't got our Big Ten schedule. I mean, off the record, we've got our non-conference schedule, which we can't really share yet. But we're going to have 10 matches, and we're going to have, I believe, 4 of those at home. 4 will be at home. We'll host a tournament the second weekend, and then we've got that last Sunday before Big Ten play, we're going to be at home. But it's just so hard. That's become one of the most difficult things, is to put a good schedule together, because you have to schedule tough. And everybody wants to do what they want to do, and it makes it tough. But we got a good schedule, good competition, and we'll get that released here pretty soon. But not sure exactly how many matches we'll be playing in Mackey, but I would guess it will be at least a couple.
Yeah, it's great to have that demand and to keep getting those questions so that you can pass them up the chain and say, hey, this needs to not die.
Well, I think they felt like it was a success last year when you pack Mackey on back-to-back Saturdays, and the environment in there was just off the chart, and we're so thankful that we have that crowd, that following, that it just continues to build.
Absolutely, great time for Purdue volleyball, great time for volleyball in general. Still continues to have this great moment in the sun with the pro leagues and all the television attention and competition is as good as it's ever been.
It's a great time to be a volleyball fan. I can promise you that. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. As at the younger level, there's just more people playing the game, and to be down there and watch the Ignite play. That was a sold-out match that night, them against Grand Rapids. So you had Blake Moeller and Grace Cleveland playing for the Indy Ignite, and you had Jenna Otek and Raven Colvin competing for Grand Rapids. So 4 of our players were right there. So it was a lot of fun for our fans.
Definitely. Great time to be a volleyball fan for sure, because there's a billion podcasts out there you can listen to.
That's true.
And,
that is true.
One of them is the Dig City podcast. Thank you so much for listening or watching, or however you're partaking in this little show of ours.
What did we find out?
We got some national attention this week. There was some rankings released. Of course, they're brilliant, wonderful, fantastic rankings. FeedSpot put out a list of top 45 volleyball podcasts, and your Boilermakers, your Dig City podcast, checks in at number 5.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing. I got that email, as you did too, and it said they ranked the top 45, and I thought, did we get in it?
Yeah.
And then to find out that based on, I think, number of listeners or viewers and how well it's operated by the host, of course,
Despite
and consistency, I think, of the programs, we were 5th in the country behind some pretty good ones, and but that was great. Then also, I think they announced of all the podcasts that have to do with Purdue, and I think there are another 35 of those they listed. We were 9th on that list. So we're doing all right for a mom and pop operation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Boy, if you all knew what goes on behind the scenes here. No, we thank you so much. It couldn't happen without our listeners, our viewers, and so forth.
And we're open to questions at any time. They can either email me or you, or can they go right through the podcast?
Can. Yep, you can go through the podcast. You can ask them on Apple Podcasts or via social when Rachel Coe shares the links. There's all sorts of ways to get a hold of us. So we reach out to Coach. He doesn't have that much going on.
No, he's not at all.
Happy to talk to him about it.
Yeah.
So okay, what's you got 6 more practices.
Yeah.
Last thing we'll leave it with. Can't talk about scheduling yet. What's the summer look like for you and the crew?
Well, in college volleyball, coaches are not allowed to work with their athletes in the sport of volleyball. So when we get done in about 8 days, okay, we can obviously still talk to them, and they work with our strength coach, and they'll go home during the month of May for the most part. I think they finish finals in early May here at Purdue. Most of them will go home, although a couple of people have told me that they're going to stay right here and train, and they don't want to go home at this point. And but then early June, everybody will return. We'll have 18 players on campus at that time. They will certainly work out with Kelly in the weight room. They'll spend a lot of time together. They'll have open gyms and, put something together where they're going to be working out and trying to make great progress and focus on certain things. How often that is, I don't know. I'm not even allowed to know, to be honest with you. They'll work our camps. We have a lot of really good volleyball camps, and we put more on the docket this year than ever because there's been great demand for them. They sell out very, very quickly, but certainly our athletes work all those camps, and they will be there. And then before you know it, it's going to be August 7th. And that's when our players begin practice again and get ready for what I think will be a really pivotal season for our program. And we'll find out, what we can do with this group of 18 players that I'm growing very fond of every day.
That's great to hear. We might get together one more time between now and then to talk about the schedule and forecast the Big Ten and Big Ten Media Day and everything else that's coming down the pipe as well.
And just regarding the Big Ten schedule, we know we're going to play everybody once, and then we're going to play Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota twice. So we know who we're playing, and we know who's home and who's away. We just don't know the dates yet. And they like to match it up with football so they can arrange some things around TV. And I'm sure that we'll be on the docket a lot on TV because we've been somebody that people like to watch.
Yeah. For sure. Well, they'll continue to like to watch. They'll continue to listen, and we'll leave it right there. Coach, thanks again.
Thanks, Corey. Appreciate it, and congratulations on that number 5 ranking.
It's all about you. They didn't come to listen to me, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Boiler up.
Boiler up.